Okay, so this is how we're going to think about how we're going to write an essay. Okay, so we're going to break it into its parts. So the first thing we want to do is write our thesis statement. You want to start with the prompt. Okay, so you're going to create a do what chart for the prompt below. Write an informative essay that explains how the author uses details to convey the theme of the text. Use your knowledge of character, plot, and theme. Be sure to cite specific details and examples to support your essay. Well, if we put that all into a do what chart, we see that we have to write. What do we have to write? An informative essay. We have to explain. What do we have to explain? How the author uses details to convey the theme of the text. We have to use. What do we have to use? Your knowledge of character, plot, and theme. And we have to cite. What do we have to cite? Specific details and examples to support your essay. So, an example of a thesis statement: the theme of the text, anyone can learn responsibility, is conveyed through the details of the plot and how the character responds. Now, that thesis statement would be the perfect thesis statement for the fish story. Okay? Anyone can learn responsibility. All right? And we're saying that that theme is conveyed through the details of the plot and how the character responds. What character are we talking about? Well, we're talking about Ernie. So, what do you think the theme for the pod is? I'm not going to tell you that answer. So, when you're writing an introduction, you want to have these parts. You want to have a hook, you want to have a thesis statement, and you want to summarize the three main points that you're going to talk about in your essay. So, here we have a hook. We all make mistakes in life, and Ernie, the protagonist in The Fish Story by Mary Lee Brooks, makes a lot. That's going to get your reader hooked in and make them want to keep reading to see, well, what kind of mistakes does he make? And then your thesis statement. This is the overall thing, the main thing that you want people to learn or know about what you're writing about. The theme of the text, anyone can learn responsibility, is conveyed through the details of the plot and how the character responds. Well, that's what we've been looking at, the plot and how they respond in order to show the theme or to learn the lesson from the story. And then you want to give a brief summary of your three topic sentences. At the beginning of the story, we learn that Ernie is irresponsible. As the plot develops, he thinks he has made a mistake and tries to fix it. Finally, Ernie realizes that everything has worked out for the best and that he can be responsible. All of those things should prove that theme, that anyone can learn responsibility. So, when we're looking at that introduction that we just wrote, these three summarizing topic sentences should be what your body paragraphs are about. And you'll see that we use the same headings that you used here at the beginning of the story, as the plot develops, finally. Well, you can use those right in your body. At the beginning of the story, we learn that Ernie is responsible. That's actually one of the topic sentences from our theme. From our introduction. And then we have to explain how. We're going to take and elaborate or build on that topic sentence, stretch it out, explain it. Okay. Whenever he is given a responsibility, he makes a mess of it. And then you provide an example, evidence, or a quote. Okay. My first summer job was cutting the neighbor's lawn. The mower got away from me and ate the tomato plants. Another time I forgot to close the windows when I washed Mr. Hammer's car. The weeds I pulled out of Mrs. Miller's garden turned out to be flowers. And then explain why that evidence proves that Ernie was irresponsible at first. These three descriptions of what happened to Ernie show the reader that Ernie is unable to complete simple chores. Whenever he is given a responsibility, he gets it wrong. And then explain why that evidence is important or significant. In order for the theme to be revealed, there needs to be a very irresponsible character that gets everything wrong so that he can learn a lesson. So at the beginning of the story, Ernie hasn't learned the lesson, and that's what we're saying. We're showing that he was irresponsible. And we know that as the lesson goes on, he learns to be more responsible. Okay. So that's one of the body paragraphs. Your next body paragraph would be about how, as the plot develops, he makes some mistakes. Think about how he um, uh, thinks that he killed Jaws, and then he tries to fix that mistake and starts to really show responsibility. And then finally, the last body paragraph will be about when Ernie realized that everything worked out. When the family comes home and the mom tells him that, Jaws was already dead, but he was so responsible, and he realized that being responsible helped that situation work out for the best. Okay, so your conclusion, when you write your conclusion, you want to follow X, Y, Z. X, explain the thesis again. Y, state why the audience should care. And Z, you want to zing those readers with a lasting thought. Here's the conclusion. The author conveys the theme by showing the reader how the protagonist responds to the plot elements and sees that even irresponsible Ernie has learned to be responsible. That's your explaining the thesis again. Then you're going to state why the audience should care. If he can do it despite his history, the reader is left feeling that anyone can be responsible. And then finally, zing your readers with that lasting thought. Therefore, don't dwell on the mistakes. Just keep trying to do the best that you can, and you will learn. So this wraps it all up. And that's what we want. You want your conclusion to kind of wrap up what you said was going to be your thesis statement way back at the beginning of your essay. All of that brings us all back together and wraps up what you wrote as your body paragraphs that proved your theme and thesis statement.